Marvel casting news abounds. The Acolyte releases a full trailer, and we get a look at Superman's new suit. All that and more on this week's Multiverse News for use. Welcome to Multiverse News, your source for information about all your favorite fictional universes. My name is Matthew Carroll, and with me on the panel this evening, we have Jay Scotty St. Clair. What is happening, bud?
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm spoiling it. Just kidding. That story did not make it to this show. We do not celebrate leaks or spoilers around here.
Particularly toy leaks are fraught because they're just never intentional. They're always just like terrible decisions on some corporate thing. We talked about an MCU cast. We did not say what it was. But there's a big MCU toy leak right now that we're not going to talk about at all, except for that it exists. And Jay Sisson, what's happening, bud?
Hey, I know exactly what you're talking about, because if you want to know how I found out about this, it was because I took my kids to McDonald's, which I almost never do. But it was we had baseball, and it was like, oh gosh, it's too late. Let's just get McDonald's. And when I pulled the toy from the box, I was like, are you kidding me right now? So I will not spoil it for anyone else. But yes, it is there. And just be warned, if you are a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And McDonald's.
You were like a prime victim of this thing. Like, this is not like you had a moment of weakness like me and you Googled whatever it was. No, you were like, you were at McDonald's, pulled the toy out not knowing about it. Man, that is rough. I'm so sorry.
Yep.
I had a stupid experience with it. Real quick, Haley Hobbs, what's happening? Welcome.
Just hanging out. No toy spoilers here. But we've got a little bit of everything, plus a Patreon poll I have to talk about tonight.
Ooh. I love that. I really like the idea of Haley Hobbs, you being like annoyed that you hadn't been introduced yet, and you just coming in. The spoiler is this.
I could have. Okay, let's rewind the simulation, and I'll do it.
I had a stupid experience. I started telling this on the MCU cast, and I got derailed and didn't finish the story. But we were having our Patreon hang for the MCU cast, and Jeff told us all that there was a spoiler, and everyone else on the call, for at least a while, was strong enough not to check it, but I checked it. And so then me and Jeff are having this conversation, trying not to spoil everyone else, and it's like the most boring thing, and I was feeling like, we gotta talk about something else. Like, we're just talking about a spoiler that these guys don't want to know. It was a really terrible Patreon hang. Sorry about that, guys. Those 3 minutes were terrible of me and Jeff. We were being bad hosts.
I know we need to move on as we haven't officially started the show, but I do think it's interesting, just like seeing these two titans of industry. And is this a failing on Marvel's part to be as ironclad and as airtight as they usually are? Or is this McDonald's just saying, hey, you can push other people around, but you're not going to push us around? We wanted this merch to come out. It's coming out.
That's a really good question. I'd really like a short film similar to The Big Short or Dumb Money, just about the corporate workings that happen to let this sort of thing happen.
I don't know if you've ever seen Mayor McCheese. I mean, he looks like he's a figure of authority. He probably gets to make decisions.
I have to Google that now.
I don't know that he looks like a figure of authority.
In my hometown, I'm not kidding, there is
like
the McDonald's of my hometown. There was a whole statue of Mayor McCheese out front, like he was some kind of war hero.
Yeah, that's one of those old school McDonald's, yeah.
That's amazing. Is it still there?
No, it's been taken down, sadly.
Of course not. We love to ruin good things.
It got melted down or something, I don't know.
Oh, it's the cheese on the cheeseburgers
He still lives in here. He still lives right here in my heart.
Nestled right there.
Not clogging any arteries, but living there.
I like the idea that he's a war hero. Like, I really wish they had gone full on, like it was a stolen valor situation where they gave Mayor McCheese a bunch of medals. They didn't do that though. They didn't do that. Okay. Let's see. First, we got our 5-star review for this week. Thank you to A.O. Ray for sending in a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. They say, this is the podcast I look forward to every week. Every single geeky interest of mine gets covered. I love hearing all the hosts' opinions. Congrats on 1 year. Looking forward to many more.
Cool.
I keep that review right here by my heart.
Right beside Mayor McCheese.
Yeah.
That's yours. Let me have mine, Jay.
Just give it time.
All right. Well, we have bantered a lot up top, so let's dive right into our first story. Everyone's favorite villainous character actor Giancarlo Esposito made waves by announcing he has been cast in an MCU film, with an added caveat that he is not a role fans have speculated about. Actor and writer Paul Walter Hauser, who has been in the news a lot lately, is also joining the MCU in Matt Shakman's Fantastic Four movie in an unknown role. The casting news comes on the heels of Bob Iger's comments today about shrinking the volume of MCU to 3 films and 2 television series per year. This definitely means a shift in the current release schedule. So how does this make you guys feel about the direction of the MCU?
I'll start by addressing Bob Iger's comments about, the slowing down of production. It's what we've been hearing for the last couple of years here, but I'll just kind of say, I'm not going to tell anybody how to live their life, but if you have any kind of issue with the prospect of like a maximum of 3 films and 2 TV series, and that's not enough for you, maybe just examine some things, because I think that is more than enough. And when they say they're slowing down, I'm surprised it's still going to continue to be that much. But, I don't want them to slow down too much. So it sounds like a good, meeting in the middle, for my purposes anyway. But as far as these performers...
For my purposes.
Nefarious though they may be.
That's what I do, man.
We do here.
It's all right. But as far as these actors, both are stellar performers and they're welcome additions, but Paul Walter Hauser is really the grab that moves the needle for me. Ever since we learned that the MCU is going to be doing an original take for the Fantastic Four, I've been expecting Mole Man to factor in, as he is one of the very first foes. If I could be mistaken, if I'm not sure, he might be the very first foe that they ever faced in the comics. So my money is on him playing the part of Mole Man, but alternatively, Paul Walter Hauser has also recently established himself as a voice actor. He's going to be voicing Embarrassment in the upcoming Inside Out 2 for Pixar. So thinking about that, we know that the robot butler Herbie is going to be featured in this film as well. So if Paul Walter Hauser is not playing Mole Man, I could definitely see him voicing Herbie, and that'd be my next best guess there. But to address Giancarlo Esposito, I am by no means disappointed that he's going to be joining the MCU, but I do kind of feel similar to how I felt when Pedro was cast. I'm excited. He's obviously very talented. He's a solid actor, but it doesn't really excite me the way that I want it to. And I guess I just kind of hope that, true to his word, he's not going to be playing one of the many villains that he's been fan casted as, over the years. And I think the one exception for that would be if he were voicing Galactus. We've been talking here recently about Galactus. I think Javier Bardem was the most recent name that was kind of bandied about, but if not him, I think Giancarlo Esposito definitely has that gravitas and has that tone. So if he's going that way, I find that prospect pretty tantalizing.
I don't have too much to add. I do want Jay Sky to be my life coach and tell me what I should think about things in general, because, I agree with you that 3 movies and 2 TV shows is kind of like the sweet spot, I think, for the MCU. Plenty of content, plenty of time in between to enjoy. I don't know Paul Walter Hauser. I haven't seen any of the movies he's written or anything he's been in yet, so he's kind of an unknown for me, and I kind of like that. I think I might keep him in that little sphere until I see what he's doing in the Fantastic Four, which I am very excited about, that movie. And then Giancarlo Esposito, I don't want him as Galactus. I don't want him as a villain, but I don't know what role he fits. And maybe he's just kind of this bureaucrat from some, Shield of the Day type thing in Fantastic Four. I could see him doing that really well. But he's just always that villain. And it's like, let's give the man some range. He's a great actor. Let's give him something else to do.
Yeah.
If he's like Agent Coulson from the universe.
Yeah, I want to see that too, because you go through it in your head, like Breaking Bad, he played a very particular type of character. And then you go over to The Mandalorian and The Boys, and, it's like he's just a very particular type of person in these movies. And I think he does run that danger of being limited in a way. where he's just kind of plays that guy that's like the villain in control or whatever. That's always kind of been his thing, is like, he knows more than you, he's smarter than you, and he's in control or whatever. And so I do want to see him get the opportunity to do something interesting. And I think like he does seem excited about the role, which I thought was cool. Like in the quote, he says something like, this is, you all have been typecasting me for this, this, and this, or whatever, fan casting. But like I am, this is going to be something new and original and all that. So I think that that's good, that he does seem like he's on board for whatever they're going to be bringing him into. But I think the possibilities are pretty endless for him. I just like to see him do something a little bit different than what we've always seen him done, even though he's really good at that.
I agree with all you guys said about the casting. I don't have a strong opinion about either one of these guys. I don't. Giancarlo is great, but I do feel like he hasn't shown new stuff in a while. It feels very, very stale. So do something new. But the thing that I hadn't heard yet, and I hadn't had a chance to talk about yet, is this 3 movies and 2 shows a year. I am one of those people that Jay Scotty does need to like teach me, because I do feel like that is too little for me. I want a little more than 2, but I think it's good that they're setting a benchmark. I also think that Marvel almost never, when they decide on like what they're going to do, their new format, their new thing, lately they've been changing a lot. So I have a feeling they might say 3 movies and two shows, and then break that fairly quickly, either shrink it a little bit or grow it a little bit, or some form of that. Like maybe they'll have 3 TV series 1 year and 2 movies or whatever. I have a feeling it's going to shift. But I like that there's a benchmark, because I think they're definitely over flooding it lately. But it's just one of those things where like these last couple of years have been really nice, as much Marvel content as we've gotten, because if you didn't like a show, there's another one around the corner, like, oh, this isn't my thing. Even if it's not that the show is bad, it's just not your favorite kind of show. It's really nice to be like, well, Secret Invasion's right now, but 2 months from now we've got Loki. You know what I mean? And like the 2 a year feels like very slow for that process. If you got one stinker in the mix, it's like, oh, that feels like it really kills a year's worth of content almost. Or like half the year's content.
I think ideally in my mind, they do like the February release, then we get like a TV show in like the spring, early summer. Then you get your, summer movie release, and then there'll be a TV series in like the fall, and then you'll have your final movie in like November. Like I think that would be a pretty good.
And maybe they'll still do like a special, or like one of those, like they did with the Christmas special, a couple things,
sure,
stuff like that. They do a few specials like that are not full series but little drops. I could see the special presentations working into this too. But yeah, I am saddened to get less Marvel content, but I like the fact that they're thinking ahead and trying to plan out how much content to release and trying to rework it, because they clearly, what they were doing was not maximizing the growth of the MCU and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they've gotten scared off a little bit from the big release schedule. I mean, their most recent movies, for the most part, have been on the negative end. They've lost money, or they've had these huge production budgets, and then they haven't turned out the profit that you would expect from a Marvel movie. So I think the rush to put content out was something that ultimately we will remember as something that bit them, I think, in the long run. Mm-hmm. And I think like that reformatting, kind of re-strategizing, deciding who are we going to focus on. He also mentioned in these comments that Disney as a whole was going to try to focus a little bit more on their sequels and on developing the properties that they have, which, I mean, it has its pros and cons, but at the end of the day, a lot of the original stuff they've put out hasn't done well. So it does make sense from that viewpoint.
Obviously, we are the Multiverse news podcast, and so like we operate in a world of sequels. Like that's what we talk about more than anything else. But the idea of a company being, and I've heard this from other companies too, we're going to focus on sequels because they're more successful. Of course they are, but you can't get to a sequel. Like, yes, sequels are more successful, but often the fifth of a series is terrible. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's a diminishing return when you keep going back to the same well, unless you keep revitalizing it. And I think that's why the MCU has worked, is because they bring in new blood with the newer movies that might not do as well, but those infuse creativity into the next thing. The Ant-Man may not do very well, but that's a character you can utilize for 6 more movies or whatever, for all the, Infinity War, Endgame, all that stuff. So it disappoints me, the idea of them like not creating new content. I need them. That's kind of the worst news especially for Marvel. I don't want to see them not creating new characters to build upon. Can't get to sequels without the first movie. So you just run out of runway real quick.
Yeah, it's fair.
All right, up next, we got some Star Wars. May the 4th has come and gone, but with it, Lucasfilm provided a full trailer for June's new live-action series, The Acolyte. Fans of the franchise who enjoyed seeing The Phantom Menace back in theaters last weekend were also treated to an extended look at a scene from the first trailer featuring Carrie Ann Moss. With the marketing machine churning out content, what's our outlook for the dark disciple known as The Acolyte?
Man, the Acolyte hype is real. I think people are very excited about this show because you need nothing. You don't need to know anything going into about Star Wars. And I think that's really cool when you're trying to develop a new audience like they did with The Mandalorian. That was a totally original show idea, and everybody just really caught on to that. I won't say a lot about the trailer because if you want to watch it, you can. And there wasn't a ton more in it that was like, oh, big reveals. They're specifically trying to keep us on our toes with, you don't know who's going to be the Acolyte. You don't know who's going to be light side, dark side by the end of the show. And I love that. So there is source material out there if you want to read it. But I think that if you're somebody who like generally just likes to watch Star Wars on live action stuff, this will be a great show for you without having to feel like you need to pack in all this knowledge. So I'm super excited about it.
Looks like a lot of fun. The trailer looks like a lot of fun. There's just like, all the stuff you want from Star Wars. The mysteries, the dark side, the light side, like who is behind everything. There's going to be cool stuff. But I wondered if some of the stuff there will tie in to stuff from Ahsoka and things, just because like they're like, what are you? Who is this? Like, I don't know. Like, the mysteries feel similar to some of the stuff that was going on in Ahsoka, and as a non like deep dive person who knows nothing about the source material that you're talking about, and so it while I really enjoyed it, part of it made me like wonder if they're going to a very similar well for some of what they're doing, which it's always dark side, light side. So like the well gets pretty thin pretty quick.
It could be. They're set extremely far apart in the universe timeline wise. Like this is taking place 100 years before the Phantom Menace or something like that. So it's in this High Republic phase that they've been developing. So the one thing I did dislike, and it's not about the trailer, it's the poster for the show, is it's almost exactly the same as the Obi-Wan poster. Look it up. I was like, okay, who's doing this? Because somebody needed to say, I don't know, that looks really similar.
They're like, where's that old file on my computer? It was like Friday.
I was like, they just repurposed this.
replace with
the hype is real for the show still.
Yeah,
it looks fun. It looks like part murder mystery, part like development of the Force, which I think is sort of needed a little bit. We haven't visited the High Republic on screen, at least. I mean, I know there's tons of material out there for High Republic stuff, like books and stuff, but we haven't really visited on screen. So it's cool because it gives you this chance to really infuse what you want out of it. Like if you're the creative team behind it, you can really kind of play with it a little bit. You've got a little bit of guardrails because it's a prequel, but it's so early of a prequel that you can really kind of develop a unique story with unique characters that you could revisit if you want to eventually in the future. So to me, it looks like the perfect summer show. I think people are excited about Star Wars. I think like they've done we were talking about content being sort of shut off a little bit. I think Star Wars has done a good job of, after The Rise of Skywalker, which was not super well received, I think they've done a pretty good job at like building their hype back up slowly, doing The Mandalorian, doing Ahsoka, like kind of building up back to the big screen again. And so I think like we've got this James Mangold movie coming. We've got like the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Boba Fett crossover coming. Like they're doing a good job at just like slowly building up to these like going back to the theater to see Star Wars again, which I think is a good move, and I think it'll pay off.
Yeah, Haley, I'm glad that you clarified that this is technically the High Republic, because that's what I was kind of struggling to remember. I knew it was a couple hundred years removed from the Phantom Menace, but I wasn't sure if that technically qualified as the High Republic or the Old Republic or what have you. So with that in mind, I don't have any real familiarity with the source material as far as like all of this High Republic content goes. I love Star Wars. I will always love Star Wars, but these days I'm not as aware or immersed in a lot of the expansion of the universe in terms of, you know, the supplemental material there. But I'll try not to say too much in case I'm correct about things, but compared to the first trailer, I did think there was a lot more to grab onto in terms of like the narrative. We knew that Jedi were being killed and being hunted by someone, but in this trailer, it became pretty apparent to me that whoever this acolyte is the former Padawan of Lee Jung-jae's character, the guy from Squid Game. And I did learn that he learned English for this role, so that's that's pretty incredible, and
like
just
you
speaks
would
to
if
his
Star
talent.
Wars called.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. I would learn English if Star Wars
I would
called.
learn anything.
I would do that. I believe in myself.
Be like,
For
I already downloaded Duolingo. I'm getting started right now.
I've been waiting for this day.
Yeah. But the other part of the trailer, like I couldn't help but find myself start to wonder, and I could be totally off base here, but I started to wonder, is this going to be kind of like a Fight Club kind of situation? Like, is our person that's like hunting down this antagonist actually becoming the antagonist? Because we did have that line of dialogue, like, what are you? Like, they don't even know what a Sith is. So I'm wondering, like, is this person that's like tapping into the darker parts of their personality to pursue what they think is vengeance? Are they actually becoming the monster that they're hunting? That could be completely off base, but as I'm saying it, I kind of am hopeful that it might be something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's also that great moment, and I think in the trailer where there's a child that's eyes just go black, and it looks like, and they look like they're on the island where Rey and and Luke hung out or whatever. So
the Porgs.
Yeah.
And the milk scene, which we will not talk about.
Hanging out.
Love the milk scene. So yeah, it looks like there's definitely some interesting stuff going on with like them trying to balance the bring the dark side up to balance against the light, and I think it seems interesting. And also, there seems to be really direct questioning of the Jedi and their mission, which I feel like has not been so much. Most of the heroes we've seen in the Star Wars galaxy have been post the fall of the Republic, and it's sort of like they all revere the like age of the Jedi, you know, and sort of like that's when things were good and there wasn't a galactic empire. And so seeing these people like at the height of the Jedi Order and being like questioning the Jedi Order seems really interesting to me.
That's one of my favorite things in Star Wars right now. There's a lot of things that are doing that, and it's fun to read, and it's going to be fun to watch because I love having the Jedi Council questioned.
Yeah.
And you see why they got to where they were in the prequel trilogy.
The Last Jedi tried to go there, and to me, like, that was one of the most compelling parts of that movie. I know that movie's kind of divisive, but like there are parts of that movie that I think did some like moved the needle forward on Star Wars and then was kind of moved back, but that was where I was really following it. Like I was like, yeah, like that's what you like Luke basically saying like the Jedi were chasing vanity and they thought of themselves as invincible and they thought they owned the Force, and reality is that the Force is not something to be owned by the Jedi. And I was like, okay, like we're cooking here a little bit. But then they sort of backed off of that with the Rise of Skywalker. So yeah, I think if you can do that, I'm a little bit more interested. Like if you can kind of fudge that gray a little bit, like Matt, you've said it before, like the bad guys have the red lightsabers and like, I don't need somebody to tell me that you're bad because you have a red lightsaber, you know, or whatever. Like, yeah, like let's kind of get those moral gray areas of Star Wars a little grayer. And I think people will respond well to that.
Yeah,
not
100%.
To keep going on this, I know we're going along on Star Wars, but if you like that kind of thing, if you like The Last Jedi and that questioning of the Jedi, read Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade. It's an awesome book where they explore that stuff. It's super fun read.
Very cool.
Before we move on entirely, I did celebrate May the 4th. I made it out to my local theater, and this guy did not have the same build up that the Dune popcorn bucket had.
But look how cute he is!
Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars.
I am
He's adorable.
stunned.
Look at him.
Yeah,
So shiny
a
and
little bit
new.
of the functionality here. The popcorn goes into the
Oh, that's so much better than I thought it was going to be.
That's a lot of popcorn.
Oh, I thought the head was going to come off. That's so much better.
I haven't figured out entirely, but the head is a separate component, so people were actually putting their drinks or their beer in here. There's a slot for the straw and everything like that. So yeah.
Oh my God, that's great.
Oh, Lord.
Totally worth it, right?
Yeah, every penny.
That's
fine
great.
addition to my collection.
I think you should definitely just like use that on a Saturday night at home. Just drinking.
You gotta get your money's
eating
worth.
popcorn out of the thing. Yeah, that's a steal.
As a man who doesn't like popcorn, you're developing quite the popcorn bucket collection.
You know, they haven't been sullied, so
Mint condition.
You can eat whatever you want out of them, Jay. You don't have to eat just popcorn. I know it's a little sacrilegious.
I've been trying to find blue milk, by the way. I have not forgotten about the bit. I have been to 5 grocery stores in my local county, and none of them have it. And I'm getting so mad. I feel like a promise has been broken to
I
me.
think it's the simulation working against you, I'm telling you.
Is it an order online thing?
No, it's
We can
supposed to be
order you some
in
blue
the
milk.
stores. I'm getting fired up just talking about it. Getting mad.
You're going to start driving, like school's going to get out, and you're like, I'm going to the next town.
I'm going to have to drive across the state lines.
Yeah, you got to. So sometimes you got to make it happen, man.
commit to the bit.
Commit to the bit. You got to commit to the bit. Jay Scotty's the guy who doesn't like popcorn is about to have 15 popcorn buckets behind him.
I know.
You got to drive across state lines for blue milk.
I've been inspired by this conversation just now.
That's what we're here for.
That life coach resume is looking better and better.
Just adding bullet points.
Okay, up next, James Gunn took to social media rather than the sky and debuted a first look at the Superman costume that will be donned or donnered by David Corenswet. Set against a metropolis that looks to be in distress, Corenswet appears to be getting ready to go to work as the new Man of Steel. Does this peek at the costume send us all up, and away with anticipation?
To quote Ben Savage as Corey Matthews from Boy Meets World, underpants. I think we all see those red trunks.
We saw those red trunks.
Oh yeah, I pinched and zoomed.
That's right.
Yeah, me too. And I just think it's funny that he put out an image that's not clear that there's underpants. You really do have to pinch and zoom into the crotch of Superman.
He knew what he was
and
doing.
I think that's a thing James Gunn made us all do. And I think I applaud him for his trolling.
No, I like it. Initially, I was a bit surprised that they went with such a moody image for a first look, considering everything we've been hearing about this iteration of the character is going to be a return to the bright, optimistic Boy Scout. But that said, the more time I've spent with this image and the suit, the more I like it. I think we're pretty firmly well past the days of spandex, at least for the time being. So for my purposes, sorry to use that expression again, the suit seems to be an ode to previous versions. It's kind of combining the best elements from both the screen and the page, effectively creating this look that is kind of like both parts patchwork, but also whole cloth and being, uniquely its own. So apart from the surface level stuff, what really strikes me about this image is the mood being conveyed. So I really got the sense that he probably just took those boots off and he's already having to put them back on. So I think, people are looking at this image and kind of speculating about the otherworldly threat in the background, but I don't put a lot of stock on that. I don't think they put anything out too spoilery this early, so I'm thinking whatever that is in the background, because they said this image was from in camera, so they had to do something with backlit projection or something like the volume or some kind of similar stagecraft there. So I suspect this is probably from the first few minutes of the movie, and it's probably going to be fairly inconsequential, maybe a part of a montage just showing him going to work and doing what he does.
I'm surprised to hear it's from in camera. I thought it looked AI generated, and I don't really mean that as a knock, but it kind of did. And then the more I looked at it, you brought up Alex Ross a few weeks ago, Scotty, and his comic art, which is very like oil painting, like you said, and it kind of looks like that too. I like it. I like the colors. I think they're muted enough not to be garish and in your face. IGN put out a post, which I sent to Jay earlier, with all these tweets of people being like, don't worry, Superman, don't hurry or anything. Like, it's hysterical. Go look it up.
Because
They're
he's
like knocking him for
getting dressed.
like taking his time. It's super funny. But I do like it. I like the trunks. I'm here for it. My only like nitpicky thing was I was like, those boots are so clean. Like the rest of his suit is kind of grungy looking, and I was like, did he polish them? Why are they so clean? But I like it. I think it looks good. He looks good as Superman.
Flies. He flies. He doesn't need to use those boots.
He never touches the ground.
It's true. Never touches the ground.
I want his popcorn bucket to be a clean boot over there.
Just a boot.
Just a boot.
I'll be interested to see like when we get more like a more front, like not in a dark room, not at night kind of look, like to see if that changes it at all. I don't have strong opinions about this because I guess when I see people kind of being like, oh, it sucks or whatever, I'm kind of like, what do you want Superman to look like? Yeah. I guess, you know, like, I don't know, like red cape, red boots, like, I don't know. I just don't think about it that deeply, I guess. I think it looks good. I think it looks Guardians-esque, which makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it's totally James Gunn, and that's sort of, he has a particular style when he does things. But to me, it looks like it blends a little bit. It's got a little bit of the Cavill kind of thing. I think the trunks are needed. You know, Cavill's suit was a little not safe for work, I think, was the knock on it. Kind of below the line. So I think you need the trunks. And I don't know. The one thing that stood out to me, the cape looks kind of velvety and like kind of, but I think that looks kind of cool. So I'm down with them changing some stuff. I'm down with them kind of experimenting with it a little bit. And yeah, but I'm excited to see more. I think it'll be interesting to see this kind of like maybe a set photo or maybe like an official image or something like that that's a little bit more light, and just see if that's kind of what we're going with. But I think it, yeah, I mean, I think people are really excited for this movie, and I think I don't know. To me, like I'm excited about it, and images like this make me feel good about what's coming in Superman.
Yeah, two things really stood out to me on this, and the first thought I had when I saw him was just how human he looked. Like, it reminds me of, you know, all the other James Gunn helmed superhero material that feels very like, you know, they're badasses in their own right. They do their thing, but they're like very, very human. And you know, most of his characters are sort of the opposite of Boy Scouts. Sure. They're very crass in a lot of cases. And so it's really interesting to me to hear him tackle a Boy Scout and still make him as human as possible, because a lot of times the way he makes people human is by sort of like injecting those sort of like, you know, on the line jokes and crass stuff, and like I don't know, I'm really interested to see, because I think he's really great with character work, and this just made putting the boots on, and just his shoulders don't look like they fit the suit that well, like the suit just like it looks like a person wearing a suit, you know. It doesn't look you know, overly fit or anything like that. And the other thing is, you mentioned, Haley, how it doesn't look too garish, and I agree, not too bright colors or whatever, but there's still a lot of color in it. There's like a turquoise in the background and a bright pink, and there's reds and blues and that velvet red and the bright red of the boots. Like, it's another thing that James Gunn has done well, is maintaining sort of a modern feel to things and not feeling too pop art while continuing to infuse all these characters with life and color. And yeah, so everything here I'm digging a lot. And even more so than Guardians, it reminds me of the Suicide Squad movie that he helmed, and reminds me of which makes sense, his DC. So yeah. Okay, we can move on to the next story. The baddest superheroes around will be back soon. The Boys Season 4 trailer dropped this week, showcasing a crossover with characters from Gen V. Late Gen V actor Chance Perdomo's character, Andre Anderson, will not be recast in the show's second season, according to a joint statement from the producers. The Boys Season 4 premieres on Prime Video on June 13th. Does the crossover stand to benefit both shows?
Oh, absolutely. I think Gen V is great. It does the perfect tie-in, I think, to the universe of The Boys, with also being its own thing. Like, it balances that line really, really well. But at the same time, watching this trailer, which was really good, by the way, like, this trailer really highlighted a lot of storylines and subplots that I think we're going to see. I think there's going to be a lot of conversation around The Boys in June when it starts to premiere. I think it's going it's going to do huge numbers. I mean, I think people are really in on this show, but there is that Gen V connection that's very strong in this trailer. Not only do you see a couple of the characters from Gen V in this trailer, but without spoiling anything, there's a major plot point from Gen V that pops up in this trailer too. And so to me, watching this, like, Gen V is, in my opinion, after watching this trailer, like, necessary viewing. I think you're going to be maybe even a little lost if you don't watch Gen V before you watch The Boys. So I think if you're interested in that universe, or if you've been following it and you haven't watched Gen V, it seems to me like this is necessary viewing. And I think this season will probably leave us in a place to hand off the baton back to Gen V, which we know is getting a season 2. And then ultimately that will hand off back to The Boys at some point. So I think these shows are going to be working in tandem with one another. I think the call to not recast Chance Perdomo's character is a good call. I think that makes total sense. It would be weird, and especially under the circumstances. It's not like he just decided to leave the show. I mean, he passed away, and it was very public. So I think anytime you're working with something like that, I don't know if fans are crazy about the idea of having to bring someone else in and get a new feel for a character when you can write a story that pays honor and tribute to that person and the character and write them out of the show, but still do them justice from a respectful standpoint. I think that just makes a lot more sense. So it's obviously extremely tragic. We've talked about it when it happened, but I think this allows you to bring that storyline to a close in a way that people on the show who work on the show who knew him would be proud of and happy with. So overall, though, I think The Boys is headed in a really nice direction. I think it's clearly one of Prime's main flagship shows, and it should be, because I think it's great and it's only gotten better and better. So I'm really, really excited for this season, and I'm really excited to see this connective tissue with Gen V. I think it's great. They're both great shows, and so I think if you're interested or thinking about getting into this universe, like, now's the right time. Even though we're about to start season 4, it's a good time to get in.
Speaking of connective tissue, so much gore and blood in this trailer.
Yeah, they know what they are.
Bloody.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, they do. And the thing that got me in this trailer the most was just them pushing the envelope a little more with going with these V'd out animals, the V'd out chicken and the V'd out sheep. In the trailer are flying around and causing destruction, and it's so superhero chickens and superhero sheep. I don't know, you just like The Boys is always showing me things that seem like they would exist in a superhero world that I've never seen before, and I'm here for that. So just gory sheep and chicken, Lord, I don't know if I like it.
I don't have a lot to say on this one. I don't know how much I can say without treading into spoiler territory, but considering the Gen V of it all and the connective tissue there, yeah, that was my big takeaway. I have not watched Gen V. I watched the pilot and liked it, but it was just a period of time where there was a lot of content out there. So that was my big takeaway. Is this motivates me to go back and finish up Gen V because, again, tiptoeing around spoilers here, but there was the return of a character in season 3 that, I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. I would not expect to see the character in season 3 based on what happened in season 2. So seeing that, I was immediately where my mind went. I was like, oh, what happened in Gen V that caused the return of this character? But outside of that, I think one of the big things that stuck out to me was we only had a flash of Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Don't know who he's playing, no idea about the character, but that makes a lot of sense. Eric Kripke, the showrunner, he worked on Supernatural with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's just done a really good job of like pulling back in talent that he's worked with, and it always seems to pay off. So you can't go wrong with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He feels like just such a natural fit for this world. Jeffrey
Dean Morgan just seems like he can go toe-to-toe with Carl Urban's Butcher. Like, it just seems like they could be really good foils for each other. I don't know what role he'll be playing. It seems like he's more of a government man of some sort, coming to like ask for their help in some way, maybe, it seems. But it looks great. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So pumped for that. All right, guys. If you like this show, we have a Patreon, and we would love for you to go check it out. Patreon.com/Multiverse Newscast. It's just a place to give us a little tip for bringing you the news every week. It's $4 a month. It's basically $1 a week for the show we bring in. We put a lot of work into it. So if you like the show, we would really love for you to go check it out.
So this week I asked, based on the Clue news we got last week, who committed the muck duck in the multiverse news game of Clue? Let it be known that Jay got the least amount of votes.
I'm clearly the least
Jay
violent.
in the library with the rope, because patron Jordan Boyd said, I would have picked Jay if it was anything other than the rope. Too much work.
So I don't know if he's saying that like I'm lazy, like well, he would never just do all that work to kill somebody. Or I don't know what he's saying.
It's not crafty enough for Jay.
Yeah,
know more. Please let us know why you think Jay is the least likely to murder somebody.
Maybe he thinks it's like insulting to me or something. Like I don't know what he's saying, but I am interested.
I came in with a whopping 44% of Haley in the conservatory with the dagger, so I feel like patrons really know me, and I love
She's
you for it.
always stewing. She's always ready for violence.
That's a lot.
Scotty's behind me at 25% in the lounge with the candlestick, and Matt, you got 19% in the ballroom with the wrench.
I am disappointed, guys. I can swing a wrench. I'm a big dude. You don't know.
They know.
You don't know me, people.
They know the violence rankings.
So if you want to be part of fun like that, join our Patreon.
That's fun. I need to go check that poll out. That's fun. All right. Well, we'll be right back with more multiverse news, our lightning round, and our Spotify poll right after this. Welcome back to Multiverse News, and we have a Spotify poll this week, as always. Do you want to see Wesley Snipes return as Blade? This is a lot of you said yes, first off. 48% said yes. 15% said no, and only in Deadpool got 35%, which is kind of what we had settled on as a group, saying that it would be a great place to have him, but we don't really want him back until we have an established Blade or whatnot. But that's 85% of people saying yes in some form. They want Wesley Snipes back as Blade, which I think is a pretty big showing there for Wesley.
We don't even have our new Blade
Absolutely.
yet.
I know.
We have his voice.
That is true.
Speaking of Blade, Haley in the conservatory with the dagger.
Oh yeah, I'll knife you. It's a very personal way to kill somebody.
I guess it is. Dagger's in close.
And they say women do it a lot, so I don't know.
Wait, I thought the women were like the poisoners, like.
That too, yeah.
I think it's like women poison, and that's the personal way, because it like takes time, and it's like over months they poison. Yeah.
We'll bring my husband on, and he can tell us what he sees more.
She more of a dagger girl.
Don't think. Just answer.
What do you see more in your line of work?
Just answer with your gut. Like what? What's the most common way?
I really like that. Answer with your gut immediately. Would your wife kill you with a dagger or poison?
Not me. Like what he sees in his line of work. I wouldn't kill him. I love him.
Okay. I thought you meant what. Okay.
I wonder what he would say now, actually, that you bring that up. Yeah. I'll ask him.
Ask him, bring it back next week. Just
I'll let you know.
Haley's husband
poll this week. What will Haley's husband say?
I really like the idea of having like the Spotify poll, the Patreon poll, and the Haley's husband poll.
Just a little corner, just a little corner.
Series.
A little corner for him. Okay, lightning round. You guys know how it works. I'm going to read a story. We are going to claim that story by shouting out our names like it's a buzzer, and then whoever claims the story gets to respond to it, and you get one rebuttal per lightning round per participant. And here we go. A24 has secured the rights to produce Checkmate, a project centered around a book proposal by Ben Mesrick, the author whose books were adapted into films such as The Social Network and Dumb Money. Checkmate will re-team Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone to direct and produce, and will tackle a recent public chess cheating scandal between chess masters Magnus Carlsen and Hans Niemann.
Jay.
Scotty.
I heard Jay first.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry, Scotty. It's just I feel like
Have you watched The Curse?
I have, yes.
Okay. I was going to say you don't get to comment unless you've watched The Curse, but you have.
I'm more here to talk about.
He said his name first.
I'm more here to talk about the chess cheating scandal of this, not the Fielder Emma Stone angle of this.
Okay. There's space for both of us. Go ahead.
So I follow competitive chess like relatively closely, and this chess cheating scandal that happened between Magnus Carlsen and Hans Niemann is so perfect to be tackled by Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone because it's so weird and like there's so much drama behind it. The short version of the long story is that Magnus Carlsen is the greatest chess player in the world. He'll probably go down as the greatest chess player of all time when he ends his career. And Hans Niemann is a chess player from the United States, and they got teamed up in a tournament, and Niemann was beating Carlsen, and Carlsen resigned and then refused to play him and accused him of cheating. And so the scandal grew and grew from there and became this thing where Niemann was saying he didn't cheat and Carlsen said he did, and there were all these weird accusations about how he cheated, which I'm not going to go into on here. You have to look it up because it's a little not safe for work. But it's this fascinating thing that never resolved. Like it never really, like you have people who still kind of see Niemann as he cheated, and people who say he didn't, and you have people who see Carlsen as a sore loser who just lost and accused somebody of cheating. Like everybody's kind of still weirdly divided about it. So it never really came to anything, and there's no way to prove anything. So it's just existed in this weird space. And I think like that is perfect for the team behind it. With A24, Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone, based on what they did in The Curse, like I'm fascinated by that. And I think it's a story that's just like ripe for storytelling, especially with that team.
Yeah.
Nice.
Scotty with a rebuttal. Yeah, I'm glad you had the chess knowledge because I didn't have any of that. And I was going to kind of say, like, I don't care about the chess aspect. It's the talent. It's A24, it's Emma Stone, and it's Nathan Fielder. The fact that they're reteaming, it really does excite me. And The Curse, like, full transparency, that was kind of a difficult watch. I don't think it's as accessible a series as a lot of people are expecting, but if you only watch one episode of The Curse, watch the final episode. Watch episode 10. I think you can watch it without having watched anything else. And I will say, I don't think any episode of television, the ending has stayed with me the way that ending did. Like it believe me, it's worth it. So I just wanted the opportunity to kind of tout The Curse and that episode. And I am excited for all of this talent to be reteaming.
Paul Walter Hauser is set to play Captain Ed in director Akiva Schaffer's untitled new Naked Gun film that Paramount Pictures plans to release July 18th, 2025. Hauser will star opposite Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. Okay, Matt, who is this Paul Walter Hauser fellow, and why is he in every story?
It's going to be
why?
Chris Farley, going to be in Fantastic Four. Like the man is, I mean, he's eaten.
He's everywhere. And I have seen a few things that he's been in. We talked about him on MCU Cast yesterday as well, because of his casting in Fantastic Four. And I don't remember him from anything except for I, Tonya. I vaguely remember his performance in that being good, but like it's all kind of blurry. So I need to go check him out because apparently the world is seeing something in him because he's in every story. He's like our new Pedro Pascal.
He really is. We're going to talk about Cobra Kai later on, and he was actually in 2 seasons of Cobra Kai. So I think that's where a lot of people probably recognize him from.
Okay. Neat. Anna Sawai, the breakout star of the hit FX series Shogun, revealed to The Hollywood Reporter that she was forced to turn down an audition for the part of Katana in the 2016 film Suicide Squad because the company behind Fakie, the J-pop girl group to which she then belonged, forbid it.
Scotty? Yeah, this is unfortunate to hear that there were these kind of limitations placed on any kind of performer, but I think everything worked out in the end. I do not like that 2016 Suicide Squad film, and I had actually forgotten who played Katana in that movie, and it's actually Karen Fukuhara. So we were just talking about The Boys, but she plays, is the character named on The Boys? I don't even what's her? She's the one female member of the boys, and I can't even.
She does have a
remember
name.
her name.
Of the boys.
Hold on.
Anyway, I just wanted to say it worked out for everybody. The fact that Anna Saiwa got this opportunity to be on Shogun, she was my favorite character on the show, a real standout. And then I know a lot of people liked her on Monarch's Legacy of Monsters as well. And then obviously, for Karen Fukuhara, she's had a lot of success on The Boys and other projects as well. So it worked out.
Kimiko.
Yeah, that's it.
Kimiko, there it is.
That's her name. I can't even remember her boyfriend's name right now.
They just call
French is really
Frenchie. Yeah.
Frenchie. Goodness Lord.
I mean, The Boys season 3 has been a while ago. To be fair,
2 years.
It has. There's some good stuff in their relationship in season 3. I need to go rewatch that. Okay, the upcoming live-action adaptation of Masters of the Universe finally has a release date of June 5th, 2026. Bumblebee director Travis Knight will direct.
Scotty, I'm not super immersed in the Masters of the Universe. I did kind of go back and revisit the classic series a couple of summers ago when Netflix first put out their kind of reimagining there, helmed by Kevin Smith. So in that sense, I think Travis Knight, looking at his previous work and what a great job he did with Bumblebee, like a cherished 80s kind of character, I always want more work for Travis Knight. I kind of am still holding out hope that eventually he'll either direct a Marvel or DC movie, but I think this is a really nice move for him.
Sweet. Netflix announced the 6th and final season of Cobra Kai will consist of 15 episodes, with the season split into 3 5-episode blocks. The first 5 episodes will premiere on July 18th.
Scotty, I'm not caught up on Cobra Kai. I do enjoy it. As far as this release strategy goes, it doesn't really impact me because it's just going to be one of those shows that I will go back and binge eventually. But I do wonder about how this is all going to factor into that film we've been talking about, the one that's going to seemingly branch, the Cobra Kai and the classic Karate Kid films with the recent one with what is it, Jaden Smith? Is that Will Smith's kid's name?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
as well as Jackie Chan there.
Kristen Stewart and Oscar Isaac are set to star in Flesh of the Gods, an 80s vampire thriller to be directed by Panos Cosmatos, the filmmaker best known for his hallucinatory 2018 horror movie Mandy.
Scotty? Oh, go ahead, Jay, please. Give me a break here.
I was just going to say, I think the who's behind the camera is fascinating, but who's in front of the camera, like Kristen Stewart and Oscar Isaac, is a really, interesting pairing of people together. It seems like this film is going to, like you said, going to take place in the 80s, and it's going to be this, slow descent into madness kind of film, starting with, the happy couple and then just, slowly kind of unraveling with, a vampire twist. So, I mean, I don't know. I think if you're interested in that genre, what's not to like?
Yeah. I just wonder if they'll be sparkly vampires or not.
Based on what we saw in Mandy, they'll probably have some colors, but not sparkles.
Wheel of Time and Gone Girl star Rosamund Pike has joined Lionsgate's Now You See Me 3, the upcoming installment in the Magic Heist franchise. Matt!
Haley?
Go for it, Haley. I only got it because I haven't
seen Now You See Me, I haven't seen Gone Girl, and I haven't seen Wheel of Time.
Yes!
But
yes.
I love Rosamund Pike. I love Rosamund Pike. I've seen her in Pride and Prejudice, James Bond, and in Saltburn. And I love her so much. And I hope that she's often given these icy roles to play because she's got a very that demeanor, but she can be very, very funny. If you watch Saltburn, she kind of plays this horrible person. You love to hate her. And so I hope she gets to kind of have some fun in
You're
this
telling
movie.
me you killed somebody with a dagger and you haven't seen Gone Girl? That's such a crime.
No, but I've seen Saltburn and it's worse. A lot worse.
I'm trying to think of that line she has when she first meets Barry Keown's character, where she's like,
"Oh gosh."
She's like, "Oh, you look good. You're pleasant to look at." She's like, "I've had this aversion to ugliness ever since I was young. I don't know what's wrong with me." Her son's like, "Because you're a terrible
funny
person."
At it. She's awful, but she's so funny. I love her so much.
Let me throw out my rebuttal, I guess. Now, I did not know they were making Now You See Me 3. We may have mentioned it before, but I'd forgotten that. And it just feels like forever since Now You See Me 2, and even more forever since Now You See Me 1. I really like those movies, though. And I keep thinking they're not going to bring it back because it takes so long between movies. But I'm on board for a third one. I think they're weird and cool. And I don't know. It's just a cool, weird franchise, and I like it.
Magic heist.
Yeah, magic in a heist movie. I don't know, man. I like it. And some of those scenes where they use all the sleight of hand are just awesome, and especially the stuff they do practically. A lot of it is clearly CGI and stuff, but like some of the practical stuff they do is really cool.
I think one of the stunts they pulled off in the very first one did kind of remind me of a couple of like Mission Impossible sequences where you see how they pulled something off afterwards. So there's something satisfying there. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, a heist film is a magic trick in a movie. You know what I mean? Like it's like the reveal of like how they it's a lot of fun.
That's always like the joke though, is like the Ocean's 11 thing, like they do the whole thing and then at the end there's like a 30-second like here's how we did it, and it's just like a bass solo in the background like bam, 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 and it's like showing you all the angles, like we did this and then this and then this. You know, I don't know. Maybe we're missing that in this society, you know?
You say that's a joke, and that's all I want. That's all I want in movies is more bass solos and big reveals of what happened in the heist. You guys ever seen this is I'm gonna try not to derail us too far. What's the show that's all heist related?
Heist Leverage. I don't know.
Leverage. Yes, okay. That show. I only watched like the first 3 seasons, and then they changed networks, and I lost it somehow. But like. That show did a really good job. Heist movies are hard, and that show did a really good job of every week making a heist movie, and I was impressed. And it was like, it reminded me of Burn Notice, and it was always like good little episodic stories with fun characters that you like, but there's not much of an overarching story, at least in the first few seasons. But I really loved it because every week it was a new heist story, and I was like, I'm into it. Give me more bass solos. Steve Carell is set to star opposite Tina Fey in the upcoming Netflix comedy series 4 Seasons. The series is based on a 1981 film of the same name.
Scotty?
Okay, go for it.
Oh. I was going to say this is a reunion between Steve Carell and Tina Fey from Date Night, which is that's all I really got.
Can't go wrong with these two. That's all I really got. They're great. A24 has picked up Onslaught, the upcoming horror action film from director Adam Wingard. Wingard is fresh off directing Godzilla x Kong, and Warner Brothers hopes that following the filming of Onslaught, he will return to direct another chapter of the Monsterverse.
Scotty? Yeah, Adam Wingard's been doing pretty well for himself. I did like Godzilla Kong. I thought it was an improvement on some of his more recent outings, and I kind of think back to one of his big claim to fame is he did that Netflix adaptation of Death Note, which a lot of people really, really did not like. I actually thought it was okay. But this excites me that he's going to work with A24, and I think that'll kind of help him as a filmmaker kind of return to some of his more, homegrown and indie sensibilities, which I think is always a good thing for filmmakers once they're given like these huge budgets and opportunities. It's always good to kind of remember where you came from.
Yeah, keep the brain fresh. Have to solve problems with something other than money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Hugh Jackman and Emmy winner Jodie Comer are set to star in The Death of Robin Hood, a dark reimagining of The Legend of Robin Hood. A Quiet Place Day One director Michael Sarnowski will write and direct the feature.
Haley, I love a Robin Hood movie. I don't care how bad or weird they are. I just love Robin Hood movies. So I mean, Hugh Jackman, I'm super there, of course. I haven't really seen Jodie Comer in anything, I don't think, but I know she's been making a lot of waves in the shows and stuff she's been in.
You've been chasing that high ever since you saw the Wishbone episode of Robin Hood back in the day.
I mean, the Disney animated film. What are you talking about? It's one of my favorites.
Oh, man.
With his tiny little bow and arrow.
I feel like Jay has you pegged, like your personality with Wishbone Robin Hood, though. Like the books of it all and the Robin Hood of it all. I don't know. It's pretty good.
It's a great episode.
Oh, it is.
Magical television show.
I also really like the the four of us all have our own like niches that we like, and I like that we're slowly also revealing the niches that are not popular. Like I love a heist movie, even though they're like widely accepted as sort of like schlocky most of the time, and then like you love a Robin Hood movie no matter how bad they are. Like it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks in the Star Wars prequel films, will return to voice Darth Jar Jar, a Sith version of the character, for an upcoming LEGO Star Wars special titled LEGO Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, which will debut on Disney Plus September 13th.
Haley, this is fan service at its absolute best.
Yeah.
There's a whole theory about how Jar Jar is a Sith Lord. It's amazing. And I love that they're doing it in the Legoverse. It's the perfect thing to do it in. Oh my God. People were just like, Darth Jar Jar on Twitter.
He literally gets off the ship and he says, Misa gonna hurt Yusa, and lights a lightsaber.
It's so good. It's so good.
I just, real quick, tiny butt to say, Ahmed Best also talked about how he just like the role of Jar Jar like almost ended his life. Like he had people just come at him with just blamed all of the hatred of that character in the prequels on him, and he just took it really hard. And so to see him get involved again on something so like stupid and fun like this is cool. He played a Jedi in The Mandalorian and one of the Grogu flashbacks and everything, and just cool to like see him getting work in Star Wars again. And
he did like a YouTube series for them as Kelleran back with kids, and so I love that he's back in the fold. Good for him.
That's really cool.
He's the best.
It's got to be incredibly emotional to think it's your biggest break and then it be the thing you're most hated for. You know, like the
kid that played Anakin, Jake Lloyd, I mean, he will have nothing to do with Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's like Nathan and I went and watched The Phantom Menace in theaters because it's fun, right? Why not go see it? And he's not bad. There's nothing bad about his acting. Like, it's really shitty what people did to him. Yeah. It's just not okay.
Star of an all-time great Christmas movie, Jingle All the Way, as well, with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Good classic.
Yeah. All right. Also, I have seen those theory videos on Jar Jar Binks being a Sith Lord, and they're so good. The theories are not
There's
bad.
A lot to it.
There's a lot to it. The one that gets me is when he's behind Obi-Wan, appearing to like make Obi-Wan speak. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's a part where like Obi-Wan is bargaining for the boy, and like he's behind him mouthing the words Obi-Wan is.
Right?
No, you're right. I'm sorry. It's Qui-Gon. It's Qui-Gon. It's totally Qui-Gon. Yeah, my bad. Guy in a robe. Whatever. Star Wars. Star Wars guy in a robe.
Green lightsaber, not blue lightsaber.
Don't disrespect Qui-Gon like that.
20th Century Studios is rebooting the sci-fi action-adventure franchise The Maze Runner, which ran as a trilogy from 2014 to 2018. Jack Paglin, best known for writing the film Transcendence, is currently in negotiations to pen the script. I want to claim this one if no one else does.
You got it.
Okay, Matt. I didn't feel like I don't love this series or anything, so I don't want to claim. This is not a loving claim. I can't. This is the fastest reboot I've ever seen. This is terrible. Like, this is Spider-Man level of reboot, but it's The Maze Runner. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's been 6 years. It's the original trilogy just ended. You could still be making. You could make another one of these if you wanted to, and it still be. I don't know. It just feels. It feels like
a test run. I'm doing the real thing now.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like we need a redo or something. I don't know. I know they did it with Percy Jackson too, which apparently was very successful on the smaller screen. So this is not new completely, but it just feels. I don't know. I just feel like you need a little bit more time between franchise reboots. I know we're in franchise fever. It's part of why we make this show, but like, slow it down. Slow down the reboots. It's my whole thing. A first trailer has dropped for Francis Ford Coppola's long-awaited sci-fi epic Megalopolis. The legendary filmmaker behind The Godfather and Apocalypse Now has invested $120 million of his own money into the film and began writing the screenplay in the 1980s. The film will debut at the Cannes Film Festival next week and then come to theaters later this year.
Haley? I think this looks really cool. It's the kind of dystopian I don't mind because it's more sci-fi-ish, and Adam Driver is a great pull to have lead this movie. So, yeah, yay, cool. Let's do it.
This would be a really fun bingers assemble to do, like Francis Ford Coppola's biggest works, and then watch this when it comes out in theaters. I don't know, like just like not a series, but we've talked about doing that before, and this would be a fun one because I personally have never seen The Godfather, and like I've been wanting to do that anyway. Okay, for 30 years, really, it's on the top of my list. Bernard Hill, the actor known for playing King Theoden in the Lord of the Rings trilogy and Captain Edward Smith in Titanic, has died. He was 79.
Jay, yeah, this was really, really sad news. I mean, to see a lot of his co-stars from Lord of the Rings particularly come out and talk about how great of a person he was on set. But I want to speak a little bit to his acting ability. Like, I think of all of the characters who went from page to screen from Tolkien to the trilogy, they all were done well, obviously. But I don't know if there's any character that like brought more from the page for Theoden to the screen than Bernard Hill did. Like he did things with, if you just take the page of Theoden and then you compare that to what he did on screen, man, he like really, I felt like elevated that character to where like he, like some of the lines that he drops and some of the speeches he gives in that movie are like so poignant and quotable and just like define that trilogy to me. So just, man, when I think about him, like I think about not just a guy who was in a big film franchise, but like he, I mean, dominated that trilogy. Like he was like in The Two Towers and Return of the King, like he was a force in that trilogy that I'll always remember, just how he just brought it for those movies. So yeah, really, really sad.
Director John Watts revealed during an interview at CCXP that the upcoming Star Wars series Skeleton Crew starring Jude Law will be released on Disney Plus around Christmas.
Haley, not a lot is known about Skeleton Crew still. It's kind of interesting. They've kept this one really close to the vest. We know it has kids in it. We know it has Jude Law and Kerry Condon in it. And that's kind of it. We know it's sort of in the Mandalorian era. I know that even though it has children in it, it's not necessarily a kids show per se. So the like mystique about it makes me more excited.
Sources have confirmed to Deadline that Mike Flanagan is in talks to direct the next Exorcist film for Blumhouse and Universal Pictures.
Scotty? Yeah, Mike Flanagan has kind of established himself as this kind of go-to horror director. I think I think my favorite film that he's done was 2019's Doctor Sleep, which was a follow-up to The Shining. So I know beyond that, he's done a lot of stuff in the TV realm, specifically for Netflix. But, you know, David Gordon Green, I liked what he was doing for a while in the horror genre, but especially after we saw what happened with that Halloween trilogy and then that first Exorcist, what was it, Exorcist Believer?
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, he needed to take a break from the horror genre, go back to comedy for a little while. So, Mike Flanagan is definitely a good pull to get this trilogy back on track.
Which they need to do because they spent like, what was it like? What was the price tag? Like $400 million on The Exorcist or something.
That sounds right.
So yeah, they got a deep hole to dig out of.
Yeah,
I did not know who Mike Flanagan was until 30 seconds ago. I just don't watch that many horror things, and I haven't seen any of his horror movies, but he did make my favorite horror thing in a while, and that's Midnight Mass for Netflix.
Oh, okay.
That show is great. I absolutely love that show. If you are a person that likes genre stuff, it's not too horror-y, has some horrific things in it. It's a horror show, but not too bad, but it deals with like sort of religious trauma stuff, and it's one of my favorite. Like, yeah, I absolutely love that show, and he's the creator of that show. So
I think he did The Haunting of Hill House as well, which got pretty popular.
Oh yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Kind of like that was like, you know,
I haven't seen it.
Material.
I have to check that out. Knowing that he did I didn't know he did Midnight Mass. I should have looked into that before this second. But yeah, that sounds cool. The Fall Guy opened below projections to take the #1 spot at the box office this weekend, pulling in $28.5 million domestically and $65.4 million globally.
Boo! What's wrong with you people? Get out there and watch The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy was great.
I'm going tomorrow.
Okay, good. But no, this really is concerning, and it's kind of disappointing because I did go see The Fall Guy, and I really enjoyed The Fall Guy, and I had high hopes for The Fall Guy just based on the marketing. Like, this thing was originally supposed to come out in March, and they pushed it to May, and I thought that was a vote of confidence. I thought they were, seeing all the buzz and all the Kinergy surrounding Ryan Gosling coming off of Barbie, and it really is a shame because this is a good movie, and he really deserves to be a leading man. And hopefully this thing has legs and people continue to support this thing throughout the summer, and the word of mouth is really strong for it. But I am seeing that the critical response was a little more muted than I was expecting. I thought this movie was a blast, but maybe there were flaws that I just wasn't picking up on. But I do think it still will probably be, in terms of having an opportunity of being one of the most successful movies of the summer, like thinking about a top 10 list, I still think it'll probably be that based on just the slate that we have ahead of us, but definitely concerning.
They almost tried to lean on the fact that it was like an old property. I felt like it was kind of like, this is a beloved IP. And
I keep forgetting that that's even a part.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. Like, I was kind of like, I don't think anyone knows what you're talking about. Like, I think you just say that it's a movie. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think you try to draw that connection. Like, because I think some people, there's a market for that, but I think a lot of people too, they see that and they're kind of like, oh, like, I guess since I didn't see that, maybe I wouldn't like this, or whatever. So
I didn't even see any of that. That's interesting.
Yeah, if that's part of the marketing, I didn't hear that either.
Yeah.
But I think that would push me away from it more than pulling me towards it, because I'd be like, I don't know the original IP. Maybe I don't care as much as the movie looks good, though.
Yeah. I completely forgot that was a factor. So you don't need any pre-existing knowledge. Yeah.
Following her breakout role as Shin Hati in the Star Wars series Ahsoka, Ivana Sakno has found her next big role. Sources tell Deadline she has landed a major part in Megan 2.0.
Scotty? Yeah, I like this addition. I immediately ask myself, like, is she going to be playing a doll? Is she going to be the next iteration of Megan? Or is she going to be playing a human character? And I could really see her going either direction. I think she has this kind of mysterious kind of quality to her, like, not I don't mean this in any kind of insulting way, but I do think she has kind of like a level of androgyny to her as well. So that's why I could really kind of see her being like this kind of living doll. I'm kind of hoping that that's the direction that we're going based on that.
My mind immediately to she'd be the grown-up version of the little girl, and like Megan's returning or something, because that reminded me of Chucky.
Sure,
like Chucky following around the little boy his whole life. Let's jump into Marvel announced another new entry to their adult novel What If series called Marvel What If Mark Spector was host to Venom, a Moon Knight and Venom story. The book is written by Mike Chen and will be released October 22nd.
Haley, I'm actually almost done listening to the Loki What If that just came out a little while ago, a month or so. It's on Spotify Premium if you want to listen to it. And it's good. These are kind of fun. These are just Marvel Universe stories. They're not MCU connected. They're not necessarily comics connected. They're just prose novels. And I've liked most of the Marvel prose novels I've read. I'm looking forward to the Wanda Peter Parker one that comes out this summer. And I like Mike Chen. He's written some Star Wars books that I've really enjoyed.
The Blade Runner series in the works at Amazon Prime Video has cast Michelle Yeoh in a lead role, Variety has learned. The series serves as a sequel to both the original Blade Runner film and the follow-up Blade Runner 2049. Exact plot details are being kept under wraps, but sources say Yeoh will play a character named Olwen, described as a replicant near the end of her life.
Scotty? I love everything that I'm hearing about this. I love Blade Runner, but I do think Blade Runner 2049 is one of those rare instances where a sequel surpasses the original in my estimation. I'm not going to, no shade at Blade Runner. It's obviously wildly influential on the genre. But yeah, Michelle Yeoh, I mean, she's a boon to any project if you want to add her there. But yeah, the fact that she's going to be a replicant, for my purposes, I always think looking at Blade Runner, the most interesting characters always are the replicants. So having a replicant near the end of her life, there's probably going to be some really emotional and palpable things happening there, and you want a talent like Michelle Yeoh leading the proceedings.
Game of Thrones prequel, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, has added Owen Harris as series executive producer and director for the first 3 episodes. Harris is best known for helming 2 of Black Mirror's best episodes, San Junipero and Be Right Back. The first season of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is also confirmed to be only 6 total episodes in length.
Jay, I think this is a good call. I went and looked up how long is The Hedge Knight, and it's pretty short. It's a pretty short book, so 6 episodes does make sense. Game of Thrones has obviously had a lot of success in the prequel area with House of the Dragon, and then a second season of House of the Dragon, so I think that is exciting. As far as those 2 Black Mirror episodes go, those 2 episodes are like so good, and if you are telling me the creative person behind both of those episodes is behind this, then I'm definitely in. Like Be Right Back, the episode Be Right Back of Black Mirror is one of my favorite episodes of anything. It stars Domhnall Gleeson and Haley Atwell, and it's a self-contained story, and it is good. And so, yeah, I think the creative talent is for sure there. I'm excited about that.
I had forgotten which one Be Right Back was, and you're right. That is a great one. I knew San Junipero. Great. Yeah, great episodes. All right. Well, my friends, that is all the news we got on the docket. Thanks for joining us on Multiverse News. Find us on all the socials. Multiverse Newscast, wherever you get your social things, except for Twitter. MV Newscast, because some guy's a jerk. I'm just kidding.
Weekly PSA. Give it back.
Add him and say, give it back.
I don't think he's tweeted since 2012 or something, but we're waiting.
Surely he's lost the account or is just dead. But just add him and say, hey, give that back. Not back. Just give it. Just give it. Thanks for joining us. You guys tell the people where they can find you online, what you want to tell the people about your making this week. Haley Hobbs.
Yeah, double episode of Source Pages this week with our Bad Batch Season 3 review with James Hewings, and then there will be a Doctor Who Christmas special review episode later this week. And then yesterday, very last minute, Ashley and I decided to live stream the Met Gala, and it was super fun on Twitch, so if you want to go check out the video, we had requests for more red carpets, so we'll see.
Sweet. Yeah, go check that out. Twitch.tv/TrainedPandaTV, or was it elsewhere?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Check it out.
No, it was, on the Twitch.
Yeah, awesome. And J. Scotty St. Clair.
Yeah, Pandas Together Strong. We are in the midst of our coverage of the Planet of the Apes films. So at the time of this recording, 2017's War for the Planet of the Apes should be available, and looking forward to the release of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So check that out on the Bingers Assemble podcast feed, and then you can also check me out over on Animation Deliberation, where we discuss all the animated stuff.
Sweet. And Jay Sisson.
Yeah, you can find me at Commute the Podcast, where we cover about 3 interesting things in 20 minutes, weekly on Mondays. And it's been a couple weeks now, but if you watched Fallout, Matt and Jay Scotty and I covered Fallout on Pandavision over the course of about 2 weeks, all 8 episodes of Fallout. So if you are thinking, I know I've talked to a lot of people who are just starting Fallout. They've heard about it and heard it's good. So if that's you, maybe come over to Pandavision and watch along with us.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Really great couple weeks of podcasting with that run and the Bingers run on Planet of the Apes. Those are just good shows and a lot of fun to talk about. So please check Pandavision and Bingers Assemble. I'm on both those runs, and they're a lot of fun. Check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. We're getting ready to finish up X-Men 97. And that will be all for this week, guys, from Multiverse News. We love you very much. Peace.
You stay classy, Multiverse.
Hey, thanks for listening to Multiverse News, or watching it, or whatever you're doing, eyeballs or ear holes, whichever thing. We do this show every week, and we appreciate you listening. StrandedPanda.com is where you can find all of our podcasts, and thank you for listening. Check us out wherever you get podcasts. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the little bell icon, whatever you have on whatever service you're doing. Rate us, like us. We're really thirsty. That's what I'm saying.